Rise and grind, Morning Fanatics. I'm Albert Torres, and this is a special road edition of the Morning Fanatic podcast. Obviously, the crew isn't here. You know, we're all busy. Life happens. Life keeps going. And didn't want to miss an opportunity to miss an episode this week just because of the NFL playoffs. And usually on Thursdays, I drive to office for work. I go to Austin. So I was thinking just last night before bed, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just record my thoughts on my way to work and just have an episode, on the road. So we'll jump right to it. Shout out to the Filthy Texican, to the Black Mamba. Hopefully we can all get together next week and record an episode from home. So we'll jump right to it. And right off the bat, we got to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? And a question for everybody and even myself is, did Dak Prescott shut up the critics with his performance Monday night? Well, first of all, let's take a look at his stats, or the night he had. It's an incredible night. 25 of 33, 305 yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing TD, 7 carries for 24 rushing yards, and a 96.5 QBR. 96.5. That's on a scale of 0 to 100. He had a 96.5. Impressive night. Looking back, week 18, we played horrible. Didn't like our chances just because, Cowboys doing Cowboys things. And didn't have much confidence. But, my reverse jinx worked. I was telling Carlos, man, I hope he's right. Cowboys winning and going all the way to the NFC Championship. And I still hope Carlos is right. But to answer the question, I don't believe Dak Prescott has shut up the critics with his performance Monday night. He might have quieted them down just for this week. And I'm not hating on Dak Prescott. He's the quarterback of my favorite football team, the Dallas Cowboys. And I want him to succeed. Like I said, and I've mentioned in the past, he's a great leader. He's a great teammate. He just is good, man. He's a good person. Sometimes he may be inconsistent. He doesn't perform well, but he's still a good teammate, still a good leader. I'm not hating on him. But the reason why he hasn't and will not shut up the critics is because he's got that star in his helmet. That star in his helmet, they're always going to move that goalpost. It's never going to be enough for any critics or for everybody, the haters, the lovers. It's just not going to be enough, man, just because of that star in his helmet. So I don't think critics will ever shut up. Only way to do that is winning a Super Bowl. And that's what I hope that the Cowboys do and Dak Prescott do this year. Because, man, the way that they played last week, they looked impressive. That looks like a team that can win. And, they were 4 for 4 in the red zone. That 2 penalties. That wasn't Cowboys doing Cowboys things. 2 penalties for 15 yards. And Kellen Moore called an unbelievable game as well. They were balanced. 35 rushing attempts, 33 pass attempts. Cowboys were 7 of 13 on third down, 2 and 2 on fourth downs. The only thing that caused this game not to be a perfect game for the Cowboys was Brett Maher, man. 4 missed extra points. I was talking with Juan Murillo, through Facebook at the time when I was commenting that, hey, man, you gotta... I was telling him, you got to keep just giving him a chance, man. What if this comes down to a field goal? It's afraid Cowboys were going to do Cowboy things, and Bucks were going to come back. Maher was missing extra points, and of course, they would come back and lose because of those extra points. And I'm glad that wasn't the case. But, man, we're going to need Maher. We're going to need him down the stretch. Games are only going to get tighter. Games are only going to get closer. And we just signed another kicker to the practice squad. I'm not sure about that. You're basically not giving a lot of confidence to Brett Maher. I understand he missed those 4 extra points, but he's done a lot of good for us, man, throughout the season. So I thought that was a move that could cause his confidence to get lowered a little bit. So I don't know, man. I just didn't like that move. But back to the question. Like I said, Dak Prescott will never shut up the critics because he's got that star in his helmet. And Super Bowls is the only way that these critics are going to ever shut up. So I hope that happens this year. And let's move on to our next topic here. Next topic that I have is how much confidence do we have, or do I have, in the Giants beating the Eagles? Just because Jalen Hurts has that shoulder injury, I have a little bit of confidence, but man, let's look back. I guess the Eagles are 7.5-point favorites going into the matchup. The Eagles are 2-0 versus the Giants, but the only reason why I have a little bit of confidence that maybe the Giants can pull it off is they also played a great game versus the Vikings, and Hurts is hurt. He's injured. He's not going to be 100%. So that's the only bit of confidence. Maybe, I guess, I give the Eagles a 70% chance of winning. It's still pretty good. But if not, if he was healthy, I probably would give the Giants no chance in beating. And that's just because when there was a healthy Jalen Hurts, they beat the Giants 48-22 in Week 14. The Eagles also have the number 1 pass defense. They allow 179.8 yards per game, and they're the number 2 total defense and allow 301.5 yards per game. Daniel Jones was the first player. I guess let me just go back to the Giants and Vikings game. Daniel Jones was the first player ever to record 300-plus yards passing with 2 passing touchdowns and 70-plus yards rushing to ever be recorded in a game. Impressive again. Danny Dimes using his legs. Joey, he's been praising high Danny Dimes, and man, he's certainly living up to it. And a new head coach, Brian Daboll, man, he's definitely a quarterback whisperer, man. He's having Daniel Jones playing at a high level. But the Giants did end the season 2-5-1. Inconsistent. They just played a Vikings team that, man, I really thought they were going to finally, Kirk Cousins, although it wasn't much of his fault, his throws at the end did cost and is everything that's being talked about. But I thought the Vikings were going to win that game. Unfortunately, they didn't. The Giants did. And I don't know, man. I guess a 30% chance I give the Giants to beat the Eagles. And we'll see what happens, man. That's going to be a good game, I think, as well. Next topic will be Bengals and Chiefs. Joe Burrow said after Wednesday's practice that he never feels like an underdog. But they are. The Bills are favored, are 5.5-point favorites versus the Bengals in this matchup. So can the Bengals, or will the Bengals, pull off the upset? Man, this was a tough one. Very, very, very tough. Because Joey B, man, he's him. He can ball. He took the Bengals to the Super Bowl last year. We all thought they were going to start well because they revamped that offensive line. It looks like they struggled at the beginning, but they got it together. And, the Bengals were underdogs twice this season. And that was week 5 versus the Ravens. They lost 19-17. And week 13 versus the Chiefs. They won 27-24. So they've got that W over the Chiefs that week. But this is the playoffs. It's a different animal. And the Bills have... or actually, I'm so sorry. I got that matchup wrong on the road. I read wrong. And it's the Bengals versus the Bills. I apologize. So, still, the Bills are 5.5-point favorites. Bengals are underdogs, and Joe Burrow feels like he never feels like an underdog. So, did give up those stats already. Bengals have only been underdogs twice this season. Week 5, week 13. They're 1-1 when they're labeled as underdogs. So, the Bills were never an underdog this season. They were always the favorites. And I'm going to go with the Bills. It was a tough one, but the Bills, or the Bengals, are going into the game, and it might be going into the game, with 3 reserves starting at the offensive line. That was their issue at the beginning of the year. They were struggling. And, having 3 reserves on your offensive line starting in a playoff game is never good. It's never good. One thing that does, or that I question, and it's what Joey's been mentioning about the Bills, is that they have no running back, no running game. The Bills' leading rusher this season was Singletary with 819 yards. Their second, Josh Allen. He wasn't that far behind, 762 yards. Their leading rushing TD scorer was Josh Allen with 7 rushing TDs. So at some point in time, that is going to haunt the Bills, where they have no running game. And, Josh Allen has been making some mistakes. So having no running game could cost them. And at the end of the day, I think the Bills, just because of the offensive line issues with the Bengals, Bills are going to win. I think they're going to take this one. Which leads up to the Chiefs and Jags. And Doug Peterson, man, he's done a great job. It kind of sucks that they have to face the Chiefs. Chiefs are on a mission. Patrick Mahomes is on a mission. Just felt disrespected that the Bills were being favored. And, the Chiefs are going to win, man. Trevor Lawrence has been playing great. Peterson has that team playing well. And it can only go up, get better. The ceiling, they haven't reached it. Not even close. So Jaguars are going to be good, but unfortunately they are facing Patrick Mahomes, which is a different animal, and he will make another AFC Championship appearance. And I guess just as a recap, we've got, I hope this reverse jinx continues to work for me. I really hope it does, and I'm wrong, but 49ers over Cowboys, Eagles over Giants, Bills over Bengals, and Chiefs over the Jags. And, I really want the Cowboys to win. Again, I hope I'm wrong. Brock Purdy hasn't really had to beat a team, He's got a lot of offensive weapons. Christian McCaffrey, that running game's always there. If the Cowboys can somehow control the running game, which we struggle with the run, but if they can somehow control that and make Brock Purdy beat them, I think the Cowboys, that'll give them the best chance to win. So, with all that said, that's all I've got. Morning Fanatics. I'll update this video shortly. It's 7:38 Central Time. I'm on the road, I-35 North. I'm almost at office, so we'll see, guys. Hopefully we'll have another great NFL playoff weekend, and hopefully we'll have the crew back up next week and see what the results were. So for the Morning Fanatic, I'm Albert Torres. Don't forget to subscribe to the Morning Fanatic channel. Like, share, comment in this video. Deuce.